All right, guys, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. My name is Eric Paulzine with 9 to 5 Sports. Going to be getting into the core plays here for week 5, but real quick, I do want to recap on last week because it was another awesome week. I love it when a week on paper looks like it's going to be an easy week, and then that actually comes through in actuality. Pretty fun stuff there. I did get a lot of people sending me screenshots again saying, hey, great job with the stacks again. That Seattle-Detroit stack hit pretty awesomely, and I kind of try to nail that one home, just how easy that game was to stack. Obviously, Rashad Penny, Geno Smith, Jamal Williams, the Seattle receivers, all kind of easier plays. And then once we got word that St. Brown was out, TJ Hawkinson became a nice play as well. Josh Reynolds became a great play with St. Brown and DJ Chark without. So hopefully you guys had a good week last week. It should have been, but we're going to get into the core plays for this week's video. I do want to give a quick shout out to today's video sponsor. You guys know who they are probably by now, Sports Battle app. It's a daily fantasy sports prop-based app that you can go through and select the over and under for player props, okay? Use the promo code 9, spelled out 25, to get a $5 cash back on a deposit of $50 or more. Download that today on Android or iOS. It's fun and easy to use. All right, now get into the top picks here at quarterback. Now, yes, if you can afford to pay up for Josh Allen, you can. I definitely like him as a play against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's not a terrible matchup. They did just give up 20 DK points to Zach Wilson, who really didn't look that great. Part of that was due to a receiving touchdown for Zach Wilson, but the fact of the matter is this has been a matchup that hasn't been, tough lately with TJ Watt out. You got Jalen Hurts going against the Arizona Cardinals, a game that could be slightly higher scoring. Can he get to 20 DK points? Probably. If you can afford to pay up for those guys, sure, go for it. If you like your build and you're at that price point range, go for it. Justin Herbert, I do think will get to 20 DK points, but I've mostly just been paying down for Tom Brady. Okay, Tom Brady going against the Atlanta Falcons, which is the 10th best matchup on the slate, or this season thus far, not on the slate. He gets all of his weapons back. Chris Godwin, Julio Jones, Mike Evans, they're all going to be back healthy and active, and that should mean that he plays well. This is going to be his second best matchup of the year thus far. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs last week, where he threw the ball 52 times in a kind of shootout game, was his best matchup of the year thus far. It's nice to see that he was able to come through and score 29.4 DK points. Prior to that, Green Bay's a good defense, New Orleans a good defense, and Dallas, they're playing well. That squad is producing. So I could see why he kind of struggled. I like the matchup. I like that all of his weapons are back. He should be in for at least a 20 DK day. Everyone make sure to say hi to my cat right there just now. Here we go. Made a guest appearance. He occasionally likes to do that. From there, I do like quarterback Zach Wilson. I did mention that a little bit of his production last week was fluky with a receiving touchdown. That's 7 DK points just right there. And he did struggle. He completed half of his passes. That is not good. Okay, the thing that I like about Zach Wilson is this offense and the game. The game should be higher scoring. You look at Corey Davis, you look at Garrett Wilson, you look at Elijah Moore, Tyler Conklin. I love both the running backs. This offense is good. I do expect Zach Wilson to get some more designed rushing attempts as well. If he does, that should open up the offense. This is a matchup that has been one of the best, if not the best, second most DK points given up thus far. Miami has been a defense you've been wanting to attack. So Zach Wilson should be able to go out and produce at 5.3. All he really needs to do for me is to hit 15 DK points. Can he do that? Sure. Do I feel as good about that as I did with Geno Smith last week? No. But at the price point, I do like it. For now, I'm just going to be paying up for Tom Brady. Some other value might open up elsewhere. Bailey Zappi, I'm not going with thus far this week. Rookie quarterback, looked okay. Didn't look great. From there, let's get into the running backs. You could certainly pay up for Nick Chubb if you want to, going against the Los Angeles Chargers, one of the best matchups on the slate. I don't mind that. Delvin Cook should be healthier this week. I don't mind that. I have been finding myself just going James Robinson. Now, the worry with James Robinson is that he only played in 47% of the snaps for the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. That's because the game was a tough matchup for him that game-wise, and then they were eventually playing from behind, so it does make sense to get Travis Etienne more in there. The surprising thing was that James Robinson didn't get a single touchdown. This week he does get the Houston Texans, which finally let Austin Eckler go off. Okay, this defense has been torn up against opposing running backs. At this point, you just want to be attacking it. They've given up over 30 DK points on average now, so James Robinson at 6.3 in a matchup in which you should want to just ground and pound, he should be able to get around 18 rushing attempts in this matchup. And if he gets that, he should be able to get to 100 yards and possibly a touchdown. So James Robinson at 6.3 does make a lot of sense. I wouldn't say he's like, I know I have him as a core play. I know he's the cover boy. I wouldn't say he's like a lock and load, especially because there are other similar plays at similar price points. I do want to point out Devin Singletary played in 88% of the snaps last week after playing 76% of the snaps in week 3. That is a big increase from week 1 and week 2. If that continues, especially in this matchup, that is pretty cheap. Like, he should be able to get to double-digit DK points if he can score a touchdown. Obviously, he could get to 20 DK points as well. So 6.1, a good price point for him. And then if David Montgomery is ruled out in this game, and that's the big if, we got to make sure that he is ruled out. If he is ruled out, then Khalil Herbert at 5.9 becomes a great play. Once again, he played in 77% of the snaps last week, saw 20 opportunities once again last week as well. Only got one target for 24 yards. The opportunities were there. The yardage was there. Just wasn't able to get to 100 rushing yards or wasn't able to score a touchdown. Like, 11.1 is a pretty solid floor. Okay, going against the Vikings, which are going to be a good enough matchup, like Khalil Herbert should be a strong play at 5.9. And then Rhamondre Stevenson going against the Detroit Lions. Now, this is a matchup that I really like. The Detroit Lions have been one that you've been wanting to target a ton. Obviously, last week Rashad Penny, who was getting around 69% of the snaps. He got that last week. We got Rhamondre Stevenson, who saw 56% of the snaps last week and saw over 60% the previous 2 weeks. So he is outsnapping Damian Harris, who personally, I think Damian Harris has looked better, but they want to use Rhamondre Stevenson as a passing down kind of back and as more of a bruiser back, whereas Damian Harris is more of a slasher. The fact of the matter is, Stevenson has been getting a lot of work. The opportunities continue to be there. He had 17 in week 3 against Baltimore, which is kind of a similar matchup, was able to score 20.1 DK points. Last week against Green Bay, he saw 19 opportunities total, 12.9 DK points. Given the matchup, given the usage, 5.5 is an extremely great price point for Rhamondre Stevenson. So he is currently a running back that I've been going out of my way to play. At the receiver position, sure, like Diggs is a great play. We know that. Deebo Samuel should be a solid safe play, but I like Tyreek Hill the most, just given the price point still, guys. So he went against Buffalo, which we just know it's a strong defense, even with its backups in their strong defense. Obviously, Tua had his issues in that game as well. He is going to be playing with Teddy Bridgewater as quarterback this week, it seems. I think that's been confirmed. But the targets just continue to be there. The offense flows through Tyreek Hill. 12 targets, 13 targets, 4, and then 14. So 3 out of the 4 weeks, he has seen over 12 targets. I mean, that is pretty crazy, okay? He's averaging 24.3 DK points while having a 5.3 DK point week against the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, that's a tough matchup. We're not too worried about the Jets defense, although they have looked better. AK is a little bit too cheap for Tyreek Hill, given the production, given the fact that the offense flows through him. I don't see why he is not priced the same as like Cooper Kupp or Justin Jefferson. He should be. From there, I do like CeeDee Lamb, who, the targets continue to be there for him, averaging over 10 targets per game. Been highly productive, even with Cooper Rush in there. Last week against Washington was a core play. 3 yards away from the bonus, and that just seems to keep happening with a lot of these core plays. But a stellar week last week, and now we get the LA Rams, who they've just been getting beat up via the passing game a ton. So I don't really see that changing. 7K is at a price point at which you do have to start thinking about it, though. I mentioned that I love Tom Brady, kind of given his price point. Well, I love Chris Godwin given his price point, guys. I was worried about his snap count. It was there. It was over 80% of the snaps last week. He saw 10 targets, had 7 receptions, 59 receiving yards, and scored 12.9 DK points. And I think that's going to be his floor, given the matchup with the Atlanta Falcons. Chris Godwin should be able to go off. He should be a super safe play at this price point as well. So I will say Tyler Lockett is still pretty cheap. 5.6 for a guy that's seen 11, and 8 targets. Now, yes, those matchups were pretty good, but this matchup is still good enough. Okay. You think Marshawn Lattimore might get a little bit more of DK Metcalf. That should mean Tyler Lockett still gets those short dump offs. He should be able to hit value. I think he's at a great price point. I do think Rondale Moore is going to be a core play once again. Well, I shouldn't say once again, but like Greg Dortch had been a core play the first kind of 3 weeks, just given the price point, given the value. And that thankfully last week he was priced at 5K, a price point at which we kind of had to start thinking about it. And the worry was that Rondale Moore might come back and lead the snap share then. And that's exactly what happened. Rondale Moore saw 80% of the receiver snaps, which basically took over for Greg Dortch. Kind of strange because Moore didn't dominate, but Greg Dortch only had 30% of the snaps. So it does seem like Rondale Moore is in that role that Greg Dortch was playing him. If that's true, if that continues, then Rondale Moore is pretty cheap. He saw 5 targets last week, did play a lot of snaps. 4.1 is a cheap price point for a pass first offense. More at 4.1 is just a play that I like. And then I do just want to point out preseason stud Tom Kennedy. Okay, Tom Kennedy was someone that we liked a lot in the preseason. And then he came in and played in over 80% of the snaps last week with St. Brown out and with DJ Chark out. I do expect those guys to potentially be active again this week. If they do sit, though, Tom Kennedy would be a pretty elite value, I think, this week, because I don't see that role changing. I think he would continue to see all those snaps and maybe could be a little bit more productive. He still was able to score 8.4 DK points, which, given his price point, is simply too cheap. So from there, tight end wise, guys, you guys already know who I'm going to play. We're going to go back to the well. Tyler Higbee, who we just continue to play, just continues to be productive, averaging 12.6 DK points, continues to be targeted a lot, continues to be productive, continues to play in over 90% of the snaps, and that is huge. And for a guy that's getting that usage, getting that snap count at 4.3, that's still too cheap. Going to echo the same thing for Tyler Conklin, who played in 80% of the snaps last week, still saw 5 targets, still was able to score 8.2 DK points. Like, at that price point, given the snaps, given the targets, still too cheap. Still someone I like a decent amount. Still someone that I think will hit value. And then with Cameron Brate kind of getting banged up last week, we saw Cade Otton, I'm guessing that's how you say his name, get a lot more snaps. He saw over 60% of the snaps then and saw 4 targets, was able to score 5.9 DK points. Once again, this is more or less me playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady. They're all kind of at a cheap price point, so you could easily play Brady, Otton, and Chris Godwin. So now just finishing out this build, obviously we could go James Robinson, and then we have too much money left over for a defense. Like, you could go with any of the defenses. For now, let's just go with the Bills. Whatever. $500 left over. We'll figure out where we want to go from there. But that is the core plays and kind of first look build there for you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you guys want to join 9 to 5 and use the lineup optimizer, that's available. It's $10 a month. We also give you guys the NFL cheat sheet available as well. It is mostly a golf membership, one of the best, if not the best in the industry, so you guys can have that as well. $10 a month for all that. If you guys want to join, you can. If not, like and subscribe. That helps out the channel. Let's have a good week, and as always, let's keep cashing.